Hi, welcome back to Behind the Lines. I'm Lynn Saturnow with my co-host Bob Greenberg. We have a special guest with us here today, Jarrett Samuels, head coach of the state champion Farrell Steelers. How's it feel, Jarrett?
It feels great. It's a great feeling. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Bob, you got some comments?
Jarrett, first off, it's got to be like a whirlwind for you in this program. All the dreams and aspirations and hours of sweat coming down to one day in Hershey, and just how does it feel after, a week or two later now, as the dust has settled down? How does it feel to be a state champion?
It feels great. It was a goal that I had 30 years ago as a player, and when you're chasing that goal and it becomes a reality, it's just a great feeling. The community's been galvanized by these young men, and just I've been riding on cloud 20 since that happened.
And I think the one thing about your team that we talked about, which I think separated your team from many that I've covered, is the fact that you had a goal from the beginning and wouldn't let anything get in that way.
Right. We had a goal since August, and we were able to go wire to wire. And there's not many times where your team be ranked number one in the preseason, and then every week you rise up, and every game you be challenged. But our guys stood tall mentally, emotionally, and physically, and they got the job done for 15 straight weeks, and what an accomplishment to them.
And I've talked to a lot of coaches over the years that have won state championships, and one of the things that they all have said is you have to be good, but you have to be lucky. And your luck came into the fact that you really avoided any of the big injuries this year.
Absolutely. That has been our thing that plagued us the last two seasons when these guys were sophomores and juniors, losing to Kyle Wright as a sophomore in the Clariton game, and then not having them all season. Definitely a difference maker from last year when we played Jeanette. We didn't have Kyle Wright or Brandon Chambers. So when you have at this level your top players go down, it's a huge loss emotionally, but also out there on the field with other guys. So to have our guys be healthy this year, we knew going into the Western Final, if we were healthy, we would go to state and win it.
The offensive line, who have gotten a lot of notoriety, deservedly so, how did this group get so good so fast and play so consistent all year?
Well, it started in January. We sent Rob Trudeau to YSU with Coach Priscillo over there. He learned their blocking scheme, and what happened was he took their scheme and brought it back to our guys, and then these guys worked all during the winter in our weight room, in our gym, special sessions on Sundays, on Thursdays, on their own time, and he really brought those guys together as a unit, and the blocking scheme was great, but also the physicality. These guys embraced the weight room, they embraced the hard work, getting up at 5 in the morning, just sacrificing everything they could to be a great unit, and that's what carried us this whole entire season.
I look back to your August 31st game against Wilmington. Really, do you win a state championship in August? Right. But I felt, and I'm sure you feel the same way, that game kind of was the springboard to the entire season after you won that game, coming back, being down 2 scores.
Definitely. Coach Philly and I talked about this at the banquet last week, and I told him, I said, normally in my past teams get down by 2 touchdowns. You see some adversity, they would kind of fold. But this year team, they just stood in there, they didn't flinch, and we knew that going into the second half, our physicality, but also our guys were in a lot of better shape than they were. They were kind of tiring toward the second quarter because it was hot out there. They had a lot of guys going both ways. We knew once we got tied up at the halftime that momentum would carry us through the rest of the game, and our guys really stood tall that night.
Your team and you as a coach went to Hershey back in 2015, right. And obviously you went here this year. How was the mental preparation different? It appeared to me yes. Your team was way differently focused and prepared this year than you were back in 2015.
Yes, we totally changed our traveling plans this time around. Before we practiced here, then we went up to Hershey, did Chocolate Town, and stayed overnight. This year, however, we went down to Milton Hershey High School and practiced. What a great facility that was. Went down there and practiced, had a good team dinner, went back to the hotel, checked in, had film study, and put the guys to bed at 10:30. And then we just got up with a focus, and our guys knew from 2015 that loss really stung, and at times, we talked about in the past, public versus private, and, you always hear that argument about, they should get their own classification, but I never said that. I always said we got to get better, we got to get stronger, we got to work harder. Our team was kind of built like Bishop Guilfoyle this year, if you look at it.
No question, with the skill set and the size of the line.
Yes.
How many times, and I asked the kids this, how many times have you walked into Palica Stadium, Falcone Field, and looked at the press box and see 1995, 1996 state champions written on that? Do you look at that every single day you walk in there?
Every day. For 11 years, we looked at that, and that was our goal in the very beginning. We felt we had some good teams early on in our first 4-year tenure, but those teams didn't have the total package that these guys had. This team this year was so unselfish. You had guys literally, college offers, 4 guys getting offered, and they rooted for each other. They didn't get into that the jealousy factor of it that can seep in, or I need my stats to be higher than your stats. They just all are really good, close guys, but they've been close their whole entire life. That's made it really special this year.
Lastly, Coach, I know you've had the ability to have so many people reach out to you. And I know I had a bunch of coaches asking for your cell phone. Yes. Just talk about the reaction you've gotten from the community and the coaching community after you won a state championship.
Well, even before that, coaches like Ricky Mancino, he reached out to me early on, but he does that all year round. He's always telling me, you're the best, you're the best. But he's a good friend of mine. But just to have Coach Farrell, Coach Piccarelli, Coach Maury from Grove City, just all the coaches around the Valley that supported me. Coach Jarrett Greenville, he was there all season long also, texting, and Coach Bress. It's just to name a few, but I've getting a lot of texts, during the playoff run about, supporting us, and it's really special to have your guys that you coach against and you competing against, but also they have your back when it comes playoff time. That's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to rally around your county and each team that was in the playoffs. We all want the best for one another, so I think it was very special to go through that.
Now, lastly, have you started up yet for 2019, or are you still on celebration mode?
I'm still celebration mode, but I still got to work out. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of free dinners, a lot of free lunches, free dinners so I got to stay in the gym. The one thing about it, our younger guys, they're in the gym already. They've been in the gym the Monday following the state championship, and it's a great feeling because they want to do it for themselves now. So when you got your sophomores and your junior classes in the weight room already, because most of them are playing basketball, but the ones who not, we got a few guys swimming, but most of the other guys are really training right now. We got some guys going to Grassetti's, he's the best trainer in this area, but to train with our coaching staff right now, they're all on board, so it's very exciting. Plus, I got to go get on the treadmill and watch them, so help keep myself in some shape.
Lynn?
How about the recruiting going on right now? You've been busy.
Yes, sir. We had 17 schools come through last week. It's a dead period going on right now, but 17 schools ranging from Division 1s to Division 3s. And our guys, we have 9 guys getting recruited out of 11 seniors. I think it's awesome. Those guys have the opportunity to extend their education. Most of them will get 100%, academic and athletic degree or opportunity. But it's just special. We're going to have 3 guys signed tomorrow. Kyle Wright, Kobe Hilton, and Christian Lewis will be signing under the National Letter of Intent Day tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a special day. I always dreamed of having a table full of guys signing at the same time. And what an accomplishment and credit to these guys and their families for getting to this point in their life.
Now, you have some great role models on the coaching staff,
yes,
including you and the other guys that have played in college. And so these kids kind of know what to look forward to because of you guys. Yes,
we explained the whole college process to them, the highs and lows, ups and downs, because it's not perfect. And there's a business side to it that can be cruel. Kobe Hilton was really frustrated, and he was torn last Tuesday. He had a couple of home visits, and there was like 3 head coaches really, trying to persuade him to come to their university. And it came to a point where emotionally he kind of melted down because he didn't know how to approach a situation like this. So I called Rob Trudeau up. Trudeau come to the house, talked to him, and explained to him, the ins and outs of the process, and it helped him make a decision that was best for him. Because in the end of the day, we can choose to guide him which way we want to guide him, but he has to live there the next 4 to 5 years. And Miami of Ohio, what a great school. I call it the Princeton of the MAC academically, and the facilities that they put up there, $10 million new facilities. It's just an awesome place for him. He'll be surrounded by tutors, and just a great opportunity for him to earn a free education, something that, I played with his father, and his father didn't earn that. So what an accomplishment to him. But all these guys, I'm just so proud of them to be able to be in a position academically to receive a free education of $250,000 basically, what it amounts to. It's just an awesome feeling.
Now, Kobe, The problem was he had committed to Akron,
Right.
but they got rid of their coach.
Right. Whole
So
staff.
he wanted to go somewhere else, and that's how he ended up in Miami.
Yes.
Now, I'm sure Ben Roethlisberger, alum, called him and said, you know.
He toured the facility, and he called me on. Matter of fact, when he got back Sunday, he came to my house, and he always comes to my house. But he came to my house. He was like, "Coach, I thought about going to YSU because Coach Pelini came in last week with a great presentation. He brought his staff up, and I thought it was awesome. He had me convinced to go to YSU. But
Plus,
Kobe,
there's a couple guys over there.
yes, I mean it was great. It was awesome. It was. I was very impressed by it. But the Miami trip this weekend, he really bonded with the guys who were coming in with him in this freshman class, and he made a decision that's best for him, and I back him 200%.
It's a great school down there, and it's a great location. It's funny. All the buildings look the same.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
was
thing
there in the
about it,
spring.
yeah.
Yeah, I was there in the spring, and what a place.
Yeah, when the city allowed them to be there,
Yes.
they had to build those buildings all with that colored brick like they are. But it's beautiful.
It
It's nice.
really is. It's really a great place.
I mean, in wrestling, we used to get on from Kent State and beat them to death.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah. That's a few years ago. They still do. Kent's still good wrestling.
That's awesome.
Jared,
yes, sir.
for the parents out there and maybe there's some of the athletes that are watching this, what advice would you give them? What are these recruits looking for? Obviously, you have a lot of talented kids there, but what are they looking for? What advice can you give to parents that maybe have kids that in the pipeline moving up the line?
Well, I always tell them in ninth grade the clock starts. There's a chart on NCAA eligibilitycenter.org, and you pull that chart up, and it guides you academically through the process where your child needs to be at each and every year. And it's really easy process as long as the child follows it or the young person follows it, and that goes for it's the average student athlete. So the grades are very important. You have to have the grades. You cannot get in any institution or university without having good grades. So always push 3.0 or higher to my guys, but always make them take their SAT test or ACT test early. They don't wait till the middle of their junior year. They go in the beginning of the junior year for the college board testing. That way, they got a couple of shots at it as juniors and then possibly seniors. So my goal is to have my guys qualified by December of their junior year for this process. And then the rest is getting information on where you want to go to school at, filling out applications, sending in letters. If you get a letter from a college coach, always respond back. You get email from a college coach, always respond back. So you keep that dialogue, and then as the head coach, I always follow up. I know when these guys' anniversaries are, when their birthdays are. So I know a lot about these coaches that recruit my kids also. So it's a very intimate process that you have to get into when you're looking at, having your young person getting recruited.
That's good advice because a lot of parents don't realize what
Yes.
they have to go through academically.
Yes,
you know,
it's
in
tough.
order to go to the Division I.
Right. But even Division III,
Right.
as I'm a Division III guy myself, so I had to go through that process. And when we were coming through, we didn't have no one kind of walking us through the whole process and guiding us through. So our job as coaches, we have a lot of coaches, and most of my guys went to college, so we have that intimate knowledge on how to get things done. We have D1 guys on the staff, D2, D3, NAIA guys. So it helps when you have guys go through that process before, and we can kind of guide these guys along and their families, because the families don't know a lot about this whole entire process.
Yeah. And when you get into this, now you talked about your coaches.
Yes.
Most of them are Farrell all of them are Farrell,
Right.
former Farrell players.
Right.
Bugsy Brown, your old coach,
Wow.
stopped in the other day.
Did he?
Collegiate football, yeah.
Wow.
He brought this picture in, and we were talking about where it all started. And here's a picture
Oh, wow.
of Jarrett and several of his coaches even on his
Yes.
on his staff
Wow.
that played midget football together. And this is the championship season.
Yes.
I think you scored 308 points and only gave up like 17
Wow.
in all the teams you beat.
I was a starting
athletes there.
the center on this team. You pick me out?
What's that?
Pick me out.
Yeah.
You know where I'm at?
I saw you.
Right
I
there.
remember.
Right there.
Oh, you're right in front of Alex.
Yeah, right
He
in
broke
front of
his
Alex.
ankle.
Yes,
My
he
son
did.
Alex Jarosky broke his
I was
ankle. practicing
my
before
first year
playing.
midgets, and I started center on this team.
Wow.
That's Alex right there. See how big Alex was?
Oh, yeah.
It was
Gravel Craig.
yes, we had
A
our
lot of
first
other guys.
championship. My cousin Bobby's on that team.
Yeah.
Bobby actually played tackle on that team. Bobby Samuels.
And how many guys were on that roster? That's a pretty
It's
big
a pretty
roster.
big roster. I don't know. We had a lot
you
of
guys
kids.
are playing, of course. you played line on his team. Bobby
Yes.
Samuels played line on his
They
team.
tackle.
Alex, when he first came up, he was a nose guard.
Yes, he was.
Wow.
Yeah, before he became fullback.
Kobe Hilton's dad's right there. He played tackle also.
This is a great group. Wow. And we talked about where it all started.
Yes.
Really, like you said 30 years ago,
Yes.
was what you were planning to win a state championship.
Yes.
And this is the kind of place where it gets going.
Coach Bugsy Brown attended the state championship game, and I haven't seen him in a couple of years. And to look back and see him in the audience, it brought some emotional tears to me, because this is a man that he taught us about. It was tough coaching. It was tough love, and he cared. He always looked after us. He ended up coming on my staff as a scout when I first started coaching at the high school level. But just a man that molded all of us into great young people. So we really love Coach Bugsy Brown.
But I think
It's a classic photo, man. It's
every
amazing.
community has the same kind.
Oh yes.
Dedicated coaches.
Yes.
Volunteer coaches, even high school, you don't make much money.
Right.
They're out there for the kids because they care about the kids the most. And that's what's special about coaches. You have to love them. At least most of them.
When you plan for
True,
them,
maybe not.
when you plan for them, you kind of test things out. But the things that taught us, made us men today, it's amazing. And all we can do is try to pass it down to the guys that we're coaching now. It's just, wow. Then you got me emotional right there, man. That's
I know that was
I hit home.
a special picture.
That's championship photo right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, Jarrett, I really appreciate you coming.
Thank
in.
you.
Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
very much. Thanks,
Jarrett,
Bob.
congratulations,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Yeah, it was great having Jarrett Samuels in. That was a special year.
Man, it was you kind of felt it from the beginning, and we've been around teams for a long time, Lynn, and we've seen so many teams that never lived up to their expectations, and Farrell definitely did that, and then some. They go down as one of the great teams we've ever seen in this county, for sure.
Oh, no doubt about it. But it was a great year for state football. 2 teams there, Farrell and Wilmington, and we also had local referees doing the Class 5A game. Joe Lombardi, Joel Straub, Jim Niglio, Jared Grandy, Jeff Osborne, Riley Smoot, and Keith Harbaugh. Pretty cool to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, you really think about it. I talked to Joe about it when he got the call. 23 years as a high school official, Joe Lombardi, and it was his dream. And he's worked very hard, a lot of games, a lot of hours, a lot of people screaming at him from the crowds, and to get that call from the state that he got that state championship assignment, there's no question. We don't think about it as much because we go to cover the teams, but as an official, it's as big as it gets, and no question, it's a proud moment for Mercer County officials and at Croup as well. So congratulations to those guys.
And he said he had tremendous backing, just like Jarrett got calls from all these other coaches and other people. They got all kinds of calls from different people congratulating him on the great job that they did.
And he had kind of a wild game there too.
The end, especially.
Yeah, at 5, there was a lot of flags, but it was a great football game, and I think from all accounts they did a wonderful job.
Yeah, the ending was a little crazy because with 3 seconds to go, Mannheim scores to cut the lead on Penn Hills.
To 1 score.
Yeah, to 1 score. So they kicked the onside kick, and it was bouncing around, and one of the Mannheim kids got hurt, and so he was out there for about 15 minutes. And Bob Lombardi, the head of the PIAA, came down and asked Joe, he said, hey, what are you going to do? And Joe says, hey, as far as I'm concerned, this game's over. He said, the clock was supposed to start, and they never started the clock. So more than 3 seconds went off. And so Joe had to get on and announce to the fans and everybody that this game is over, officially.
Well, I know one thing. I know from talking to Joe, they got treated very well down by the Pit of Away. They get treated a lot better than the media guys do, I can tell you that. We had some hot dogs in the press box.
Really? Is that all?
Yeah, because the hospitality room was closed between games for us.
Yeah.
So
Well, wrestling and basketball is a lot better as
That
far
is
as the
true.
food goes.
That is true.
Pretty good. They take pretty good care of us.
that is true.
Yeah. Now, speaking of that, high school basketball and wrestling are underway. We're just getting started. Most of the region games haven't started, but there was a big one last night. Hickory and Grove City girls going at it.
How about Grove City and Chris Birch up to 5-0 now?
Right.
Outstanding start for Coach Birch's squad, and it was a real battle back and forth. And I think these are 2 teams that I think definitely will be making some noise in the playoffs. But you got to like what you see out of Grove City off to this big win. They beat Greenville, who I thought was one of the better teams in Mercer County. So no question, Grove City one of those teams to watch here early on in December.
Yeah, in fact, we have a lot of great teams I think we're going to see making a run this year. In the boys, of course, Kennedy's ranked number 2 behind Roman Catholic out of Philadelphia.
Correct.
In the Class 6A.
6A, Sharon's ranked. I think Sharon getting all their football players back.
Right.
They've had a couple back-to-back wins. They play Sharpsville on Friday night, a game that we'll be covering, so that'll be an interesting kind of a Valley rival game. Hickory's off to a great start. They play Grove City tonight, and that's really a big region game. Two
Yeah,
of
it
the
is.
top teams in probably the state going at it. So that'll be at games in Hermitage. So Hickory should have at least a little bit of the edge, but that'll be an interesting game to watch as well.
West Middlesex is ranked. They're pretty solid.
Middlesex, you look at Middlesex as a team that, they play Wilmington, would have been last night. They play Lakeview on Friday. Those are two big rival games. Farrell's now in their region. That region is going to be very, very competitive. But Middlesex, I think, a team with their coach and who they got back, and Ricky Ladovich coming over. I think Middlesex is definitely the team to beat in at least in 2A.
And Middlesex girls. Now you're talking about a powerhouse there. They're solid.
I talked to Mike Williams last week, and he told me that this is his best defensive team he's ever had. And this is a coach that's had 3 straight District 10 championship teams. So, Middlesex, I think people were expecting them to take a step backwards, but right now they have not taken any steps back at all.
Now I watched them the last few years. They had kids coming up that were pretty solid, young kids.
And McKenna White, who is she's pretty much unstoppable right now. There's nobody with her size and athleticism that we see right now in Mercer County. I think her and Malia Magestro right now of Kennedy could be the 2 best players in the county.
Yeah, you're probably right there. And Nina Kano from Greenville.
She's
also a solid inside player. She played AAUs most of the year too. Besides, so she looks solid this year.
There's, you look at the girls basketball side, and there's some very good teams. I don't know if there's any standout chance to go to Hershey teams, but I think there's a lot of good teams that can contend for district championships. On the boys side, I think it's different. I think we got, you got Kennedy, you got West Middlesex, you have Farrell, you have Hickory, you have Sharon, Grove City. I think there's a lot of really good teams on the boys side.
There's going to be a battle just to get out of the district, as a district champ. Now, obviously, they take more than one.
No question about that.
Yeah. Wrestling, Reynolds ranked number 1, Greenville ranked number 8 in the state. Should be another great year for our local wrestlers.
I'm interested to see Greenville because they're a team that's off to a very good start this year.
Oh, yeah.
And they're always, at least in recent memory, been in the shadow of Reynolds' program. And you wonder could this be the year that they could knock off Reynolds?
It very well could be. They're pretty solid. And at the end of the season, the District 10 duels are a little different. They're going to 16 teams this year rather than 8.
16?
Yeah, that's a little bit, little too many. I don't think that many are going to enter because you can opt out, and I don't think a lot of those teams are going to go in because there's only certain ones that can win. Now, of course, if you have a young team and you want to get the experience, I would definitely say that's a good thing to do.
It's one of those, you'll have some teams that they'll be honored to qualify. They'll take the opportunity, but as you said, the teams that have been around, they want to maybe save their kids, not to make weight, and take a chance of maybe getting hurt before sections.
Right. And speaking of sections, they're going to 2 sections this year in District 10, 2 16-team sections rather than the 3 sections as they've had.
Well, that'll
in the
be
past.
good for the fans.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
Now they're going to be held where?
Sharon and
Up north.
and Meadville, I believe.
Okay, or Union City or somewhere up north.
Yeah, one of those.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's you wondered how long it would take. It's not hard to notice some of the matches. There's a lot of forfeits. You have to speculate. I wonder if there's going to be a change, maybe to the number of weights, possibly. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of kids wrestling on a lot of teams now.
No, that's the unfortunate thing. Certain like lower weights or upper weights, a lot of times there's some holes. And that's just the way it is today. But they go by national weight classes, so I don't know how big a change there will be unless they make it national.
That'd be a national change for sure,
Right.
but there's still a lot of great wrestlers here in Mercer County.
Yeah. And speaking of District 10, congratulations to Hickory and Lakeview competitive spirit teams. Won District 10 championships. It's a mixture of cheerleading and gymnastics. You've probably seen it on ESPN once in a while if you ever tune into that stuff.
And they'll be heading to Hershey in early January to compete for the state championship, so congrats to
Right.
both of those teams for sure.
Now this has never caught on real big yet, at least not in this area. This is the 7th year, and we have 5 teams going from District 10, but we only had 6 entered. So, but still, congratulations to those teams for winning. They've practiced hard.
No, there's no question. And from what we've seen, at least going to games, a lot of these groups are so much more athletic and talented, and it's sometimes you kind of hold your breath watching some of them cheerleaders do some of their routines because it's pretty challenging.
I mean, there are some limits and regulations on what they can do because it can be dangerous, just like gymnastics. But unfortunately, they don't have state gymnastics anymore. Even on the college level, they've dropped off. So that's a shame because that's a great sport, and we had some great gymnasts come out of this area earlier on.
Yeah, we have, no question.
Yeah. I ran into Barb Driscoll the other day, retiring athletic director, and she was all pumped up because Hickory again won the Mercer County Cy Lyman Award, which goes to the team with the top winning percentage of all sports in Mercer County. So she said, that's a great way for me to go out.
And Barb is not going to find a better athletic director than Barb with so many years, what she has done for that program. I know it'll be a real challenge for that school district to try to find somebody to replace her.
I don't know if Wendy's going to move up and take over, or if they're going to have somebody else step in. I mean,
I don't know. Yeah,
they're going to miss her.
They're definitely going to miss her. And Hickory, congratulations! To win the Cy Lyman Award, it tells you that all your programs are winning, and that's another great year for the Hermitage programs.
And as we sign off, Bob and I want to wish everybody happy holidays. No matter what your religion, no matter what you believe in, let's hope for good health and happiness in the future year for everyone out there, and some winning sports as well, huh, Bob?
Well, I feel confident we'll have that, and hopefully for a Steeler playoff game.
Yeah, and we're going to take a break too on the holidays, so we'll be back in January. But in the meantime, we'll be posting things on Twitter, including videos and some scores and some other items that you might want to tune into. But we'll see you then.